This episode is a preview of next week's GRID Charleston event, and this one's going to hit home for anyone who's ever looked at a neighborhood and thought, I could make this better. Our guest is Jarrett Hodson, real estate investor, Citadel grad, and one of the sharpest neighborhood operators in Charleston. For over 20 years, Jarrett's been transforming blocks, one house at a time, especially on the east side and downtown, and watching those same areas go from overlooked to thriving. In this conversation today, Jarrett breaks down how to find your neighborhood, the one you can actually transform in 2026, and how to spot the early signs of opportunity before anyone else sees them. You'll hear him talk about what it means to be an activist investor and why it's the real estate version of legal insider trading, how to turn a single block into a compounding investment machine, and why you should drive through neighborhoods that don't have Christmas lights and how they can predict the next boom. GRID Charleston is live Tuesday, December 16th at 1349 Old Georgetown Road in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. And it's free to attend thanks to our sponsors, Coastal Equity Group, Mitchum Law Firm, Sweetgrass Capital, Matt O'Neill Real Estate, Coastal Creative Media, and Tide Property Management Co. Let's get into the preview with Jarrett Hodson and start thinking about the neighborhood you're going to transform in 2026. Let's start with this. How did you get into real estate investing? And then what pulled you into doing more like neighborhoods and, investing in multiple properties in the same area versus just like one-off deals?
Well, whenever I went to the Citadel, I went to the Citadel in 2001 and I graduated in 2005. And during that time period whenever I went there, they said, we're talking about Wagner Terrace, and they said it's now safe to go into Wagner Terrace, but just make sure you're running in groups. And this is like all like 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old physically fit guys. And during that time frame too, I saw savvy dads that were buying houses in there for $30,000. They weren't doing it necessarily as an investment at the time. They were doing it to get primary residency. So you get tuition, lower tuition if you were a primary resident for a year in South Carolina. So they get lower tuition. They bought a house there. But then by the time I graduated, those houses had gone to, a couple $100,000. Now they're $1 million. So it was seeing the transformation of that entire area around the Citadel and how quickly that all happened. It was pretty eye opening for me. Then, whenever I was graduating, I got a job at a small bank as a mortgage loan officer, which is what I still do now. That was a week after. That allowed me to see a bunch of different deals, a bunch of different transactions, and through that, I knew about the financing side. So then I was closely monitoring, that where's the next Wagner Terrace type situation happening.
What was like the first area that you decided to commit to?
I mean, the first thing that I bought was in was a well, I bought a place. My first property that I ever bought was in Mount Pleasant as a primary residence, and my first investment property was downtown. It wasn't the east side where I have most of my stuff now, but it was downtown. So I mean, I liked the downtown idea because it's there's a limited amount of properties. Also, it's not like the beaches where there's limited area, but the entry point was so high. The entry point downtown, um, not so long ago was $1,000. I mean, 10, 15 years ago. So it's something that was feasible to do. And I like the downtown market because there's a strong rental base. There's always college students coming in and out, and MUSC people coming in and out, and people that are just familiarizing themselves with the Charleston area that want to try downtown first. You're always gonna. It's just a strong rental market down here. So that was
Yeah.
probably my first is somewhere downtown.
And I know Charleston has changed a lot over the last 20 years. What patterns have stayed the same for you when choosing where to invest?
Well, it's what we'll talk about a lot next week is I like the idea of being an activist investor, okay, where as an activist, as a passive investor, you'll be someone that calls someone and says, "Hey, I want to buy a rental property." And they say, "It's in your list of rental property." You say, "Pick one off the list." Whereas an activist investor, You're going to go in and not only try to fix up the property, but the neighborhood as well, where you can control the entire area. It's like it's sort of like I mean, it's the same as buying a stock, except you're buying if you're able to, you're buy so much of the stock that you have controlling piece of the company where you effectively are an inside trader. You're doing inside trading. Inside trading is the best way to trade. I mean, it's illegal to do it in the stock market, but it's legal to do it in the real estate market. So if you can own enough of a piece of the market to control that market, you're insider trading legally, and you're virtually guaranteed to have extremely high gains, or at least gains that outpace the market.
And why do you think focusing on one neighborhood or one area creates outsized returns for you?
Well, for me, it's because I'm being an active as an investor. I'm going in. I'm saying this is an area that I'm going to focus on. If you buy uh, a property, I mean, in an area, I mean, just picking up a piece of trash on the road increases the value of that area. Let alone like going into like literally changing the houses in that neighborhood, and improving the houses in the neighborhood. You can also have a pulse on the things that you cannot see from a computer or like Chat GPT. You're not going to find out the crazy neighbor with that's selling meth out of their house down the street that just got put in jail. So all of a sudden, we can not worry about our cars getting slashed or our cars getting broken into at night, things like that. Or that FEMA doesn't show you. FEMA does general maps, but you know as well as I do, like FEMA, there's areas that flood, especially here in Charleston, that aren't in a FEMA flood zone. I mean, have crazy bad flooding for like bad infrastructure problems with the city, or just it's a low lying spot neighborhood where the houses on that corner are always going to be jacked up. So you don't have to buy those houses. So you have that insider information that nobody else in that area can have. And the only way to do that is either to physically live in the neighborhood or own so much of it that you have to be there and monitor that. But at the same time, it'd be a physical presence where like being there or owning a lot of it means, hey, if there is a neighbor that is doing something that's bad in the neighborhood, you're going to call the police and you're going to get involved enough to make action happen. Whereas if you have a one off, you might have a tenant complain, but since you're not there, you don't care. I mean, you're not going to call the police every single day until something happens. That's what you have to do to turn around the neighborhood, turn around an area, and turn around the entire neighborhood. Then, I mean, those gains are guaranteed much more so than you can't control what the market does overall, but you can control that neighborhood. It's going to outpace in a positive way the other neighborhoods that don't have that same level of control that you have.
Absolutely. Without giving too much away for next week, what's a step that maybe someone new or early in their journey, what's the first step that they can take to identify their neighborhood that they're going to invest in?
I would start by doing the thing where you can say, where can I be an activist? Where can I make a difference? If you go to my neighborhood that I actually live in Mount Pleasant, you can't go in there and say, I'm going to clean up this neighborhood. There's nothing to clean up. You have to be able to do something to that. It's not rocket science to know if you're going to look for things like if there is an abandoned house on the street. That is good news for an investor. You know that's going to keep out a lot of people out of that neighborhood until that house is not abandoned anymore. And if you can be the advocate or the person that goes in, the activist that goes in and buys a house next to it, that house is going to be worth much more to you than someone else. If you're going in knowing that house is not going to be abandoned forever, that house is not going to be abandoned for that long because I'm going to make it not abandoned. Look for the neighborhoods that have like the trash on the streets. Look for the neighborhood where there's only where people don't put out. I mean, now's a great time. Go to neighborhoods that don't have any Christmas decorations out, where people are nervous about putting Christmas decorations out, and make it the neighborhood where they do put out Christmas decorations next year. Be the agent of change in that neighborhood, and you will by yourself, by your own hands, change the neighborhood. And that is like you might buy houses in there and increase the value in that neighborhood, and move out. In 20 years from now, you'll come back and be like, damn, look what I did to that neighborhood. That's a great feeling. Look what I did in this entire area. This area, like it was just sitting there until and then people are going to say, oh my God, you're brilliant. You came in here and look at how beautiful these houses are. You bought it for what? Well, it didn't look that way whenever I bought it. The house didn't look that. The neighborhood didn't look that way. But if it does in 5, 10 years, it doesn't take that long. You're going to be, people are going to say you're brilliant. It's that simplicity. Like, I'm not looking at a ton of spreadsheets and running a ton of numbers. It's like, I'm not saying it. And what generally like an investor's thing, like, I'm going to try to get, see, there's 5 houses here. I'm going to look at a giant list and see 5 houses in a row. And if I can get house B or C 20% under what house A sold for, well, then I'm a great investor. I've done a good job. Well, that's not being an activist investor. That's just investing and then hoping that the market, throwing your money into the market. I mean, that's fine. That's, you can do that. I do that now. I have to do that. I can't be as active, um, like on a personal level. However, it's like if you want to have outsized gains, that's the most sure way to do it, is be the activist investor that goes in and changes the neighborhood.
Who is the ideal person to come next week to come to this event?
If somebody wants to do this, they should come next week. If somebody wants to invest in real estate, and people, like, listen, everybody wants to do it. Everybody wants to be a stock trader. Everybody wants to day trade. Everybody wants to be able to, but if you really want to do this, I can tell you how to do this. But whenever I was in school, like, I remember getting out, and it was, the big thing is whenever people are starting off, is they keep getting told, well, this job requires this amount of experience. There's no entry point. It's tough to, like, well, if I can't get a job, then how do I get experience? Well, this is the entry point. Here's an entry point for you, and here's a way you can go. You don't have to talk to anybody else. You don't have to have a mentor, or you don't have to have some.
If someone shows up next week to this event ready to take action in 2026, what's one mindset shift that will change everything for them?
I believe in always being at 0 to 1. It's like, right, I go back to step zero. I don't plan 5 steps, 10 steps in advance, or have like a list of, this is what I'm going to do next after this, do this, if I do this, if I do this. I just try to go to from 0 to 1. So right now, if we say you're at zero, it's identifying, it's taking action. It's identifying, let's say, 5 neighborhoods, 5 areas to go and not just stare at on a computer. Like, that's step one. Draw a circle around it and go drive out there and spend a little bit of time in there and say, what can I buy in here?
Sweet, Jarrett. Well, I'm super excited. What can people, there's anything specifically that you feel like people can look forward to coming out?
My goal, Paul, is to just, it's, as I've thought about it and I've watched a couple of your meetings, is just, it's giving an entry point, like a realistic entry point, to say this is step one, and it's attainable for everyone, for anyone. Saying go do it, and I want to see if somebody does it.
I hope people do. I think they will. I think we'll have multiple people in the room who go out and do it.
Yeah, once you do step one, I mean, then you go back to zero and you do step one again, but your life just kind of spider webs out. You have to, like, you have to get that momentum of step one, and then you start, other things start appearing.
That's right. Yeah. Jared, I'm so excited for this event. Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you in advance for being one of our special guests next week. I'm super excited for it.
All right, brother.
All right, thanks.
Thanks a lot.